What are the what?
Into the Necrovale. It's like a RPG fantasy, kind of dark fantasy. It's like a dungeon game.
Oh, okay.
It's really fun.
I started playing the new Prince of Persia game, but I haven't really gotten into that yet.
Oh, the Prince of Persia.
Yeah, the new one.
That's an old ass series.
Yeah, but they just did that new one in like last spring.
When did they do a new one?
Like there were two new ones this last year. There was Prince of Persia and then Prince of Persia, the Rogue Prince of Persia. They did a roguelike. It's hard.
Oh, they did do a recent new one.
Something something time, right?
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
Prince of
that's
Persia:
what I'm
The
playing.
Sands of Time.
Yeah, it looks awesome. It's really great. Like it's a side scroller, but it's 3D. Um, but it's super hard. Really, 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 really cool.
Is that it?
Particle effects. Yeah,
Damn.
Oh, that does look nice.
yeah, it's super fun, but hard, really hard.
I think I'm cooking here.
Did you guys have a good time playtesting everybody's games?
Yeah.
I've been too damn busy writing my essay, sir, and finishing the rest of my history.
Were you taking more than one history class?
No,
Okay, just the one history class?
just the one history class, and I got really scared
By the paper?
by the paper too.
That's understandable.
4 to 5 pages, MLA format. All of this on the Roman Republic. And again, it's my fault because I chose it.
Why did you Roman Empire?
I said Republic,
Oh, my
not the
bad.
Empire. There's a difference.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I meant the Republic.
There.
I'm sorry. I'm
Because
thinking of
everyone-
Sith Lords.
Everyone always thinks of the Empire when they think of Rome.
Isn't that what everybody hears? Like how they say?
Not everybody.
Republic.
Everyone always dreams of recreating the empire itself because it was one of the weirdest times in history where a large amount of land across Europe was not owned by the fucking Brits or the French, but the Italians.
That is crazy. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. Forgot that time in history.
All right, let's see how everybody's portfolios turned out. Why did my font get so small? Here's Madison.
Alright, this is Madison, and I'm going to be going over my portfolio pages of both my first and second game. The first one is, well, my first one, and the Unity project that we did, that was my Checkmate Run game. I updated both of these a lot to have a lot of descriptions and images and videos and just more in-depth things so you have more knowledge about the games. I have this as the same overlay format of the opening just because it has the name and some chess pieces in the board that are like the major components of this game, so I left that to be the cover screen. But going down is when we start going different and updated. I have the same format for both of these portfolios, but for this one it has a little section of just the title in case you didn't like get it from the cover.
Great. This is really nice. Well done text design here. Title, genre, platform, description, and then using font weight here. Fonts are aligned. Having this left aligned and then that right aligned seems a little strange, but my
the genre, which each one kind of has like multiple, just because I felt like not just one, there was more categories that fit into the genres. The platform I used and how I built it, so both of them are in Windows, and that's even how I made it in general. But this is just a game overview and description. This one's not as lengthy just because this one's pretty straightforward for the rolling ball game in how it works and just the platforms you go into, and you start at the starting post and then you get to your end goal. So this one's not as detailed, but it's still a good length description of what it is, what you're doing, and what you're finding. Both of these portfolios also have a narrative and target audience section, which is like another.
Super, look at that. Narrative and target audience. Playful puzzle, abstract role game where visual and audio designs enhance the sense of rustic forest environment to maneuver the ball around. Yeah, letting people know who this was designed for. Excellent.
Another little description of what you're going to.
The thing I've seen people do down here in portfolios, which I also think nice, this is really great. Software programs used: Unity, Blender, Substance Painter, Substance Modeler. Great. I've seen people, instead of listing them out like this, just put the individual logos up there, and that's really visual, looks nice too. But this, great.
To be doing in like a little recap. If you didn't read all of this and you were just reading this, but also a more in-depth knowledge of the programs used, of the whole entire game process, which a new things I learned this semester was just Unity in general. I've never done game design or done anything in this software program, so I've learned a lot about just that and the coding and scriptures and just everything that kind of essentially goes into this program. But I've also never used the Substance softwares of Painter and Modeler, which I really like them, and I want to experiment with more to have more practice in it and maybe take what I learned to over this summer create like other projects to enhance my experience. But this is a first video of just how the start screen is with the subtle movement, just so the viewer could see how it moves. With each video and picture, there's a little caption, and some of them have extra descriptions or extra descriptions of what program it specifically was used in. The layout for this portfolio, there's a title and then the workings and either subsections within it. For this one, it's just one whole big piece that is overhead game layout, which is, this is the start and this is the end. This is the hidden part that you have to collect enough coins to be able to reveal to continue the path. But these both are in editor mode to be able to just see in close different zooms, to be able to see different vantage points of each of the major points of the game. And then next section is assets, which I changed the layout and design of this too, having the
Okay, this is going great. There seems to be a lot of different fonts here, right? We have this serif font, like I think, let's be consistent. Putting this in green, maybe not great. I would maybe just in white. Yeah, I feel like this one is unnecessary unless you're going to here's what I'm saying. It should be max of 2 fonts, okay? A max. And we've got at least 3 different fonts being used here. So from a design perspective here, pare this down to like 1 header font and 1 text font.
bigger, most important piece over here in this corner in a different color as a header, but then having like this format of like what it is, an asset, where I built it and made it, and then the overall workflow, either in both or whatever softwares I've used to create this, just a little description of each, which also goes in correlation with the pictures that these are the wireframing and solid meshes of Blender. And these ones are going to be a Substance Painter and just the Sketchfab. The same thing with going into these chess pieces. This one's a little different because it was in Substance Modeler and I added the coding and scripts to be able to see and explain. But this one's also the start of like having little extra descriptions for these captions so you kind of know a little bit more about these.
Yeah, this is really great.
And this is both in the editor and in the build of the game, different versions for you to see different viewpoints of how it works. And again, the sketch fabs of all these pieces.
Yeah, those are great, but I would just re-upload them in Sketchfab so they're right side up. It's a little weird that they're upside down.
And just how specifically these pieces of the chess pieces and the chessboard work and interact within the game. And just so you can see like a little quick overview of how that works. This one for the collectible, it has a more engaging header to be able to see what it's about. And again, with the Blender and the wireframing to Substance Painter, but the difference is that I added the scripture triggers that are in Unity so you can see the workflow of what is happening in my game and how things are set in my game, but also like a little description of what these mean and the workflow that I worked in to be able to create these scripts to have what happens to this.
Yeah, that's great. I think you explained that well enough that even people who hadn't really done this type of game design would understand what it is you're trying to show.
Again, with the sketch fabs, and then this one has how the player interacts with it and just the particle burst of it, and also just like a little description of what happens and that there's audio to it. And then going into the next one, this one's more of a general overview of just a bunch of platforms, but I did like my 2 favorite Blender wireframings to then go into like these connects of in the same format of Substance Painter and descriptions, and this one connects with this again for the Sketchfab. The last thing on here is just like a general overview of things that I didn't add earlier in the portfolio, just to say these are more scripts that were used within the game, and then what exact messages that the player should be seeing within the game.
Yeah, so I calling it script coding, that's not. I would just call it Unity C# scripts. Something that would be less cumbersome.
Which is another thing again that I learned of just learning these scripts and how they work, and to be able to like connect things to the right pieces. Like these little pieces of making them the object and connecting them and making them a trigger, or like not a trigger with like the checkpoints and stuff. Which again, all of these screenshots are what some of these scripts are and messages are within my game, and the settings and how they work. The last thing is just how the particle system, 2 particle systems I have within this game, which one isn't within editor view of the confetti, and one is in gameplay view of just this green path follow, to end with just an overall gameplay and that downloadable link. But yeah, I learned a lot from this game and software alone, since I haven't used Unity ever before or really done anything with game design. But this also really helped to go towards this game, to kind of get more deep involved into creating just a better type of game that's more, as you can see, detailed in what it does and what I wanted it to do. So again, same layout of having a cover, which I actually named the game instead of just having it a cat cafe. There's purring sounds within the game, so this is the new overall game name title. And again, the same layout of
Very cute. The Perfect Grove Cafe. See what she did there?
title, genre, and platform. That is just what the game is. This one has a more lengthy description of more names of like the characters within the game, like who you are, your cat named Suni, and then what's the first level of the game, what happens, and why, and just more things that happen once you get in the cafe, and again, just the narrative, target audience, and the programs you use for the overall creation of the game. This one again also has like just a big overview of the game layout in editor mode, just so you can see different vantage points, zoomed in, zoomed out, of both inside of the cafe and outside in the gardens, and just like the whole overall outside view. Then going into assets, so just again, a big header and what it is, the workflow, this one especially with the low and high poly and baking mesh workflow to...
Yep, really excellent. You're really showing that you understand what it is that we did and why we did it, and
then have visuals of what those differences look like, with again captions. These are the same from last time, but I added in this UV unwrapping model just so you can see how this was unwrapped in both Blender and Substance Painter before painting all these materials and textures on. This one also is adding the script part of Unity, but this one is the blueprints. So this one is, again, the screenshots of just what the blueprints for this specific asset is. So in this case, the collection manager, the count widget, and collectible, and like how it functions itself. So these are just overviews, and then just the description of the workflow and what it does and what you'll be able to see, which then goes into these videos that you'll be able to see it come to life in the game of the particle burst when you interact with the object and collectible. And then this one's the same, of just so you can see the rotation, the spotlight of if you were just to see it without interacting with it. Same with these about just another assets and wireframing and Substance Painter, which I feel like I learned a lot more about Blender skills for modifiers and intrude, extrude to make a simple cube something to look like this, like a rafter, and just learning how to apply more little details into making more fun objects and models. same addition of Sketchfab and how it's used in the game. A new section of environment is the animation category and particle system that are within the game. So the same with the header, but this time it's categorized as a particle system, and what the particle system it was deprived from before this description of how it was changed to then be like rain. This is how it looks like in editor view. So
Yeah, really good job. You really nailed your particle system settings to make this stylized rain look.
you can kind of see more zoomed out portion to then go into what it looks like within the game, how it sounds like in the game, and a little description of what this is. Same with flickering lights, animation shaders, how I did it, and what it looks like in the editor mode to be able to kind of up close see how those lights are flickering and changing and emitting light, to be able to then go into game mode and see how it works there. This one for the sliding doors is a lot of the coding blueprints. Each section for the sliding door and swinging door, again in the same layout, swing, slide. So you can see the screenshot of how everything's laid out, but also a description of like what these screenshots mean and the workflow of it, but also how it looks like in editors and the viewports to be able to see like the box collision trigger points and how that's going to look when the player is going to interact with this portion. And then these both are videos and descriptions of a little like how they work within the game, how they open, how you can go into the trigger zones and trigger the opening and closing of the door, and that this one is either saying that it's locked and you must collect 20 beans to be able to enter, but this one's just saying it's freely open, like you don't have to unlock it, you can just go in and out and it'll still open and close for you no matter what. But this last section is just a little additional details that I thought would be fun to add that are more zoomed in, like this water fountain balcony area. And then the cats, specifically like who this cat is, since there's 3 cats technically in the game, the NPC, their name, where they came from and how they were created, another important outside garden piece, just an overview zoomed out version to see more of that. This ties in with the NPC of seeing how they are animated and just up close of how they were textured in Substance Painter, with adding all different colors and the mud pieces, and then showing how she swings her legs, to then again finish with overall gameplay, download, and just closing piece. But I think this one again I learned a lot about just the blueprinting and how to code most of these, like getting into like the really detailed work of it, to have a workflow of where do you start, where do you need to cast it to, and what do you need to link it to be able to go through it. Because I remember I was having some challenges with the being collectible, that I redid this blueprint and it just like made more sense once I scrapped my old one and went from scratch.
Yay, good. I'm really happy to hear that we learned blueprints well enough that you're able to rethink how that blueprint.
And that's when my rotating movement started to work, and it started actually working how I wanted it to. The same with the collection manager was also having like problems of not counting correctly, so starting from deleting those problematic ones and starting from scratch and learning more about how to actually do the coding details to have the proper wireframing coding workflow. But specifically this summer I think I want to work on more of how to do more of modeling in all the programs, Blender, Substance Modeler, Substance Painter, and also just learn more about like the coding stuff and the scripts and how each one of those can be applied, but also like more of the inner workings of it to apply it to future games or even enhance these games that I already have. But yeah. Alright, this is Madison,
Super.
and I'm going to be going.
Looks great, Madison. Really, really well done. And yeah, I would say A+++ on the documentation there. You really thought it through. Just some minor things with the design there. There's too many fonts. Just try to pare it down to a header font and a body font for the amount of content that we have in this. And then maybe some more neutral colors in the background of the design there. Some of the colors you chose for the font are not super contrasty compared to the background, but the content of what you did there and the clarity of your thinking and showing of your work, all really well done. Really, really well done. Nice job for sure. And
all right,
Michael.
So, final game. Very, very nice to be here. What new did you learn this semester? Well, I learned that it's not always too easy to build something that is, frankly, out of your level. You gotta think small and then build to larger things. Definitely that sort. Apologies for the text. How we use this work for when applying for jobs? I would definitely say in like modeling, definitely in creating, and how eventually I could like create something out of nothing. That was kind of my biggest achievement in this type of class. More like the character modeling, that type of object modeling, that type of stuff. Placement here and there was fairly neat. How will you use this work how will you use this work when you learn the class in your own personal art practice? Definitely in the type of building, this type of sort, where, because kind of what I was doing before I entered this class was very similar to this other, but more on a two-dimensional type scale, where it was basically a bunch of pieces being put together, and then you'd fuse those pieces together into a single piece that you can use. And it's very intricate. I very much like it in that type of detail, especially you add that detail and then you fuse it into it and then you add even more detail. So it definitely kind of adds up in the end. Very nice. What specifically will you work on this summer to continue work in innovation and interactivity? I am very close to graduating with my associates in digital media arts.
Congratulations.
The only thing I truly need to do left is the internship for the program. That'll definitely get me on my feet, definitely get me in the zone for everything else. And yeah, and the link. Yeah, here's the GIFs. Very, very nice. Yeah, this process took a bit. Here and there. I kind of already knew where it was going before I even started.
Okay.
That type of progress, I had to visually put it forward in my mind, and then I did sketch it out. I'll add the sketch alongside this just to be sure. But yeah, definitely a whole progress. Okay. And yeah, these are the links to my Behance and my sketch tab and the Drive. The Behance one has the both Unity and Unreal objects, just to be sure. And that will be all for this class. I very much appreciated being a part of this. I know I wasn't always there, and I apologize for that. But it definitely stacked up in the end, and I was able to really put all the pieces together, and really make something out of this. And it's actually been pretty nice, been pretty fun so far. So thank you so much, and I hope that I can do this type of interactivity animation very, very soon. Thank you so much.
Great. Let's look at your Behance ones here. Did you give me the Behance link? You just can't click on a QR code. Here we go, found it. All right, here is the Behance page. Okay, well, it looks like you got different Behance pages for each 3D thing. Okay, I mean, they're on Sketchfab, that's good. I would consolidate these into one Behance page that's for the entire game. Also, maybe some shade smooth there on that one. Yeah. Let's see. And then also, we need some description here, right? What is this thing? I know it's from your game, but the people just checking out your Behance page won't necessarily know that. So try and just explain it at a level that would work for someone who hasn't been following this process the entire way. Here's Isla.
Of the Behance pages for both of these games. Hello. So for my portfolios, I have the updated versions of the Behance pages for both of these games. For the Unity one, I added more text and descriptions for each of the models that I made. And at the bottom, I also added links to play. So when you click on it, it takes you to the drive with the link, with the zip file. I have that for both of the Behance pages. Each one also has the description, and this one also has the link for the zip file. And I learned so much this semester in this class, especially just with how to describe it, just 3D like modeling and animations, like what we did in Unity, like for animations. Interactivity, I definitely did not realize how much work and effort was put into it. I mean, I knew it took time, but I just didn't realize like how much you needed to put into it to make like fully functional games or levels, even a menu screen. Working on the menu screen in Unity was definitely it was like kind of eye-opening for me, I guess, in a way. Just seeing how game developers and just developers overall, like what they do and how they do things to create fully functional like screens or like web pages, just anything like that. Over the summer, I definitely will continue to use Blender and most likely Unreal Engine since I definitely want to keep like kind of like tinkering around with the event graphs and just seeing what does what and how to make like certain events, I guess, in a sense, like triggering like a gate to stay open or disappear after I've collected so many collectibles like in the game that I made. I definitely want to play test with some models, either if I make them or get them from the one website we used. I can't remember the name. I know it starts with an M. I just can't remember it. And I definitely want to learn Blender a little better, just so I can have that on like my skill set. Since knowing the basics is good, but I definitely want to mess around more with the sculpting and modeling features since we didn't do that a whole lot. I might watch some tutorials over the summer if I'm lost or confused, since I definitely think those will help. I believe that having skill sets with 3D animation and modeling and using Unreal Engine or Unity to create games will definitely be a good thing to put on like my resume or saying like I can do this. I definitely think it'll help with the graphic design portion of the like pathway I want to continue like for my career. I definitely need to keep practicing though, since I'm still understanding all of the concepts, since they slip from my mind a lot, especially when I work. It'll come to me after I finish all the time. But yeah, I had a lot of fun this semester working in the games for both Unity and Unreal, and I will continue to work on them over the summer.
Super, great, Isla. Let's look at the one Behance page. Here's Nature Walk. You got your GIF up there. Title screen in Unity. Here's the gate in Sketchfab. Cool. And each element has its description here. Yeah, this top flower really turned out great. It's nice. And floating platform. Cool. Yeah, that's good. Maybe a longer video up here of some gameplay, I think would be, or wait, you got game clips. Oh no, that's just that one clip. Yeah, so just without, playing the game, I think some more, stuff here on the portfolio from the gameplay would be useful. It'd be a better showcase of all the work that you did put in there. Let's see, is there more over here? Then we got these two clips. We got everything on Sketchfab. Yeah, it would say you need an extended clip here. Am I just missing it? That's the link to play. Yeah, I think you just need some longer video clips here to really showcase visually what was happening, all the work that you put in there in that game. Cool. Okay, so that's Isla's. Here's Marissa. And Evan. And Natalie.
All right.
Marissa, I think your doesn't have any audio.
You should have audio.
Let me try opening it up a different way. Hold on. Hmm? Here, let's see if there's audio in the file. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's no audio on here.
That's weird. Because when I checked it, there was audio.
Let me see. Did you upload it more than once? Let me see.
Nope, only one.
Okay. Here, you want to talk us through it?
I guess. So do I just?
Just hit the space bar and we'll start playing.
Okay.
And then we'll see you on the lower side, and then we'll also see you on the upper side.
Oh, cool. I don't think
it doesn't go up there on
Oh, okay. Do I?
space bar.
Do I just say it word for word or try to?
Well, we won't know if you're getting. So let's just say that you did it word for word, regardless of what.
Okay. So this is my Behance page. So this is my first one. This is the tower one. So this is the design for it. I changed the text. I added text. And I kind of edited a little bit the first picture with Photoshop so it blends in. So some stuff that I learned from this class was Unreal Engine, which I've never had a hand in before. And it was definitely very interesting using it. It was definitely slightly different than, there's the door. It's slightly different than Unity. And I learned a lot more on using Unity 3D. So here is all my stuff from the Unreal Tower game. I personally liked the door and the vase. Despite how the unwrapping went, it actually looks like they both look pretty good. I'm not sure what else I'm yammering about right here. Oh, look, there's the door again. That's my favorite part, is the door. There's some video clips of the project. The coin spinning right there. It's collecting it. Ooh, it made a little sound. Wait, I actually did hear sound. Hold on.
Maybe it's just really, really low.
My audio was not on.
Oh no. Oh no. Did I put in the wrong one? Is that why?
Is this the wrong video?
This might be the wrong video. Yeah, it is. I think it is.
Did you
We all
hit
make
space bars?
mistakes in
Like,
the heat of passion. It's okay.
we already saw this part, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we did. This is the wrong video.
Okay.
Can I just click off?
Just close that. Here, you can just look at the Behance page live.
Okay.
Right. There we go. Talk us through Snowbob. Snowbound.
Snowbob Snowbound. I actually really like the name for this. So this is Snowbob Snowbound. This was my Unity game, and here's the title screen. I kind of edited a little bit with Photoshop. There was like for the start button. So here you have some text talking about the layout, and then you have the actual layout, which I took a screenshot of through one of the different perspectives, which I personally actually really like that feature for that. And then you have the different images, the collectible, the course set, and then you have the start screen. And again, another image right there, but smaller. Here's some video examples. This is Snowbob. Oh, it's Snowbob. It's the player you play as. You see him going along the course there, collecting the coin, jumping about, and then you have all the particle effects for the coins, climbing up there. Just in a weird way, I found a way to make sort of a climbing effect using the jump box. Actually, it was unintentional. I can't talk.
What do you mean climbing effect?
I realized if I wanted to keep editing this on, when making the jump box, you can make it so where the jump box is a little outside the player, and you can create a double jump effect. Not only that, but if you do it right, it can make it look like he's climbing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I found a weird unintentional way of making, well, it was because of Belle actually. She showed me the double jump, and then I thought about like how I barely missed the platform, yet I jumped, because the hitbox for the jump, it's still touching the object that it sees as ground.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that was an interesting concept. And then just here's Snowbob getting ready to, like, I'm just kind of showing off the coin. How I made the coin was actually, like, again through Substance Modeler. I used the Unity materials to custom make my own material. And then I searched for little sparkle images, PNGs. I edited that again in Unity, and it made this really cool sparkle effect that I really liked. And then, like, I have the game objects here for the Sketchfab. I used the Sketchfab editing to make it look a little more brighter, like it's glowing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And then this is the sparkle effect I used.
Oh, the sprite.
Yeah, the sprite for it. I meant to say sprite. The sprite for it. And then it doesn't have the coloring effect because it's not in Unity, but I edited it through Unity. And then here's the big platform. I wasn't really sure how big I needed it to be to make it look like massive, but there it is. And then you have Snowbob's head. You just have his head right here. That I plopped on top of the regular spear.
Happy birthday.
And yeah, that's Snowbob. It's Snowbob. It's the guy. It's the snowman. I don't. Do you need me to say anything else, or?
Snowbob Snowbound.
Yeah, Snowbob Snowbound. It kind of has a unique little rhyme to it.
Yeah. No. It's definitely your own version of SpongeBob SquarePants, right?
I just called him Bob, and then I thought Snowbound, and I'm like, hey, that kind of goes together.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a good name.
Yeah.
No, good job with the portfolio here. Doing the isometric view here to see the entire level. That worked out really well. You capitalize Unity, capitalize Unreal Engine, capitalize the other proper nouns in there. Yeah, and then here having the sprite and then make a GIF of the particle effect and have those side by side. I think that would be an improvement there.
I wasn't really sure how to get film the coin spinning with the particle effect. Oh, you know what?
Did you just realize how to do it?
Yeah.
How would you do it?
I would set it up in a separate area and then just have it kind of video play that. I'm realizing I could have made a level dedicated to just showing off the coin
Mm-hmm.
and then just film that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just with OBS or screen grab or whatever. Yeah.
The screenshot allows for GIFs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we went through making a GIF pretty easy in Media Encoder, right? Great. Yeah, Snowball looks pretty cool. That's really great. And good documentation for the other game as well. Super. Let's see, what else do we have here? Where is everything? Okay, here's Evans. Let's move this over this way.
Hi, my name is Evan Morales, and this is my final portfolio presentation. And for my portfolios, I just went with a simple overview of the game.
Same thing here, Evan. Capitalize Unity, capitalize Unreal Engine. Those are proper nouns.
Simple, and I just added the link for it here. And I've learned a lot this semester in terms of animation and code and trying just pooling everything together. It was really hard at first, but I was able to get everything. In Unity, it's just that Unreal Engine was a huge learning curve for me. Very, very huge learning curve in terms of linking everything together and trying to figure out where this component goes connects to this component, and another component connects to this, and it's just really hard to do. I'll use this in looking for jobs, and I'll use this as an experience builder for looking into jobs hey, I've dabbled in Unity and Unreal Engine. I've made these two games if you want to try them out. It's very basic, but it's effective. It's basic but effective, and it gets the job done, and it shows what I've learned over the course of the year. And I think I'll use this in 3D animation, because more of I'll use this more in practicality of what's the word for it? I'll use this in trying to, I don't know what the word is for it. I'm sorry, I'm blanking out. But I think what I'll use this in personal is trying to is develop my skills in model making and texturing the models and stuff like that, using the various programs that we used over the course of the semester, and try and develop my artistic value. And then once I get a grasp on that, then I'll work on more of the coding and the animation and the rigging and all that stuff in terms of both Unreal and Unity. And I think something specifically that I want to work on is probably in terms of user interface and interactivity, because the user interface in both games are very basic, but it's effective. But effective in practicality. But I want to develop the user interface where it has a health bar system and health bar and items and also currency and stuff like that. And for the interactivity, I can make focus on NPCs and like bosses or like field field bosses or field enemies and stuff like that, like which you have to take down. So it's there's a lot of stuff that I would want to work on, but it's gonna take a lot. And thank you for watching. I appreciate it. This has been an awesome semester. I've learned a lot, and thank you so much for having me in your class, and I feel very privileged. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, the let's see, links here. He's got the Google Drive link. Oh, here's the game. Let's look at the One Behance page here. So maybe put up the actual title of the game here rather than my Unity game. Cool. Okay, so we got some video up here. Got the night rolling. We have our gameplay shots. Okay, we don't really have anything happening yet for Sketchfab. And the link at the end here, I would try and make that link clickable, like an actual link there. So, yeah, I would say try to put some more time into the portfolio here, right? This one turned out a little bit stronger than the other one. Take some time to document this in a more professional looking way. All right, good job. Here's Nat.
Sorry if I go a little fast, but here's my first portfolio for on the run. The little game permits and descriptions, they're split up into different parts. I hope that makes sense. I just put game design. I was gonna put level design, but I also talk about like a bit more stuff down here. Just a quick premise, and then it's weird to see how the level came to be. I forgot it didn't look like this at one point, and those are not cactus, they were just tubes. Then it's just me talking about how I was able to make everything and emphasize the theme. I put the menu in here too because I liked how it came out, so I wanted to show that off as well. And then the sign, actually, it kind of went how the requirements did, but not really because I didn't put them like process images of one thing, process image of another, then like that. I put them like in their own group. Like this one's just for the sign, so it'll show the process of it, then the model, and then the animation down here.
Great, that's really.
And then the final animation, and then same for like the card. I just talk about a little bit. I don't want to go through everything like too much because that would be here for hours. But then the minecart, the process here, just talking about that. The same for the final model and everything, but shooting. Then I had to cut the video so horribly for this. That's why it moved so fast. It's just showing me like moving the keyframes. Put a little caption right there.
Great process shots, right?
I think that's what it's called. Sorry, I don't have this on preview because it's a bit easier for me to see it like this for some reason. Then the TNT. The process is just something simple. I was gonna upload this stage, but I have more stuff down the bottom, anyways. And yeah.
So the blue type, I would left align that.
Sketchfab. The water. I have the what should we call it?
Look, this is great. Yeah, turning on and off the normal channel here so we can see its effect on the water. Really.
The slight process, like disconnecting the noise. Hopefully you understand. I just had to cut it down really short. If not, it wouldn't put it on here because of the limit it has.
Yeah, so the probably right the GIF format is going to be better for smaller ones, and so making because the full screen GIF like this or the full stretch GIF is going to be too big. You want the resolution down as well as the frame rate in order to make the GIF small enough so you're not running.
Just removing the noise from the normal, like gets rid of that wave info. Like the height, I meant to say that, sorry, and then just regular and the actual full image of it. And then here's Tumbleweed. I don't have him in Sketchfab yet. I thought he was just chilling by here. But the outlaw itself, and then the gameplay, and then you can download the game here. Then for this one, here's the game premise, and then it's like transparent. Yeah, it's a little bit of the game design. I have a little bit here and then more down there. The map I had was what I was inspired by and everything. A couple of things here and there from the game, like screenshots. That's what I mean. There we go. And the ceiling lights. There was supposed to be dead bugs in there. I completely forgot that I had that in my notes for that. It's a sketch I had for this thing. I had it in wireframe and Blender for a reason because then you couldn't see the cylinders for the lights. And then the final model and everything. Too weird. You can't see the glass here. Very strange. I didn't have it that low. And
Yeah, the
see it
transparency.
more in
Also, the
Unreal.
flickering is not going to make it
Then
through. But you
hopefully
show us the
understand
flickering
that
here.
I
That's
that I changed this here and then it changes the speed of this. Changes the time, no changes the speed of the flickering. I forgot that sentence completely apparently. And how it looks like done, and then here's the actual nodes from the material connected and everything. I have this like name as well, and then the reference I used for it, and then the actual thing in Blender.
awesome.
To put the
Modeled to
substance layer one,
size.
but it looks
Excellent
basically
work.
just like the sketch level, and that's why I left it alone. Just me explaining why I used a reference and everything, and then final model, yeah, then screenshot of what the timeline looked like, and then me messing with the timeline, the transform in the animation, and then just the final one, and then we just talking a little bit about it. I didn't talk about it too much because it's just simple, it's just moving the positioning. And then the locker, these things are long. Apologize.
This is great.
Yeah, this is one
great.
of the ones I didn't use a reference on. I just kind of freehanded this one. And the final model, then the animation as well. Hopefully you can understand I'm also messing with the timeline, how it affects the animation. And the final one. And put the floor in here too. I was gonna have this under extra. I just forgot, or I just left it under still assets too. I wanted to show off the floor because I like how it came out.
Okay, so what I had you guys do when you imported all those Twinmotion materials, right? And so Twinmotion is actually the other Unreal architectural visualization program, and those are the materials that are included as part of that program. And essentially that program is just another version of Unreal Engine just designed for architecture. But the technical name here was you would use these as either world projection materials or triplanar. That's better. Triplanar material. Triplanar world space projection would be the thing you would want to say instead of Twinmotion, because Twinmotion is really just a program. It doesn't really. It's just where those material presets came from. But the type of thing they are is this world space triplanar projection.
I described like I was able to make it into a Twinmotion material from the plugin in Unreal Engine 5, which means the mesh can can be adjusted and the texture would fit whatever it needs to be and everything, gameplay and then the game as well. A lot of things I learned from this semester was the biggest ones that I know is the flipbook particles in Unity. I didn't get to use that a lot in my CIS 151 class. I don't think we did. I don't remember. Unless we did, but it wasn't too big of a topic, so I don't remember it as much. All of Unreal, actually, for me in this class, I've never touched Unreal until now, so I had such such a big it was such a big flip from Unity. So I had a lot of trouble with it, as well as sampler and getting to do the floor. I'm really happy how this came out. I'd like to use it more to do different textures if I get the chance to do some other stuff in summer. How I can use this for work is showing I understand making and texturing models, knowing how to work on themes and staying on that path instead of like being like, oh, maybe I can add this even though it doesn't fit. But that would make the player be like, whoa, that doesn't go here.
Yep,
But
great.
staying on
both
theme
games
helps a
had a
lot
very strong
to-
sense of design.
Stay on
I love
track
that
of
creepy
everything.
door. It's very creepy.
Then some things I would make sure For my own personal art practice, is definitely. I know we use it in 287. Is the high poly, low poly. That helps a lot. I like using it. Since I've learned how to retopologize now, I'm gonna try making like little models and animating possibly in the summer. And something I'm gonna work in summer is actually on a game with by helping creating assets and things like that for for someone. I'm not sure if it's a little secret, so I'm just gonna see who it is. It's quite yet. I'm sorry. Oops. Ignore that. But yeah, I think that's all. But thank you for such a fun semester. Hope you have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Really, really great work, Nat. Wow, really, really nice. Yeah, I'm can't wait to see what you work on next. It's gonna be great. Let's see, we got Aaron here, and Isabella.
Good day all. For this week's presentation, I bring to you my portfolios for my Unity game and my Unreal game. Starting with the Unity one, you'll see I have an array of gameplay screenshots and just overall world screenshots, which I tried to make look fairly cinematic. This
They do look cinematic.
this quickly transitions into discussion on the game as a whole and about the story I envisioned for it. I also styled it with kind of the platforms or catwalk scene in game over
Yeah, I like that.
the
I
fog
like that.
scene in game.
This
This
looks nice. This
transitions, of
design
course,
works.
to a
This design
discussion
works, Aaron.
about the platforms, how I modeled them, and how I used the material slots in the model to texture them in Engine. Down here, we come to a discussion on the fans, their relevance to gameplay, and the short script used for their functionality.
Great.
And lastly, I discuss the fog and the implementation of Unity's built-in shader editor. Down here, I have included several GIFs to contextualize the above discussions, and we have an environment fly-through, and the models themselves, and lastly, some gameplay. For the Unreal one, I wanted to style it after, as if these are all
Yeah, Polaroid
photographs or
pictures.
evidence
That's nice.
about
That's a
an
nice
incident
idea.
that happened at the film set after a deputy was called in to investigate some reports. I've styled many of the screenshots as Polaroids. Here we have a description of the project in general, to contextualize the story-based letter up there, and talk about my idea for the game. Here we have discussions on the light and the door. These should be GIFs that are not loading in yet. Here we have a discussion of the chair and the wood collectible, the chair about how I modeled it, and the wood collectible about its scripting.
Okay, I think this
transitions
design
down
works for the most part.
Into the models
Yeah, chair looks
themselves
great.
on
Everybody thinks the
Sketchfab,
chair looks great.
and an environment fly-through, and lastly, a gameplay video. This semester I learned quite a bit more about game design than I did before. Definitely about how to construct levels to guide the player properly, and how much information you need to provide the player with so that they don't just get completely lost and confused.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a game... Sorry. I have an idea for a game that I will hopefully be expanding on this summer that involves some 3D modeling and, of course, overall general game design principles, as well as possibly taking photographs for the backgrounds. So I'll definitely be exercising much of the knowledge gained in this class in that project, if I get around to it, which I hopefully will. Regardless, that should be just about it for this week's presentation. See you next week.
I think Aaron's in morning class too. I think he said see you next week at the end of his morning presentation too. Yeah, but those both look really good. Let's look at the scene one. I really like the design for the Unity game. This, what does it say? Hey, you know, even got redacted text in here. You're really committing to the. Yeah, he is. Hey, blank. We've been receiving an influx of calls about some weird happenings at the film set down the road. Yeah, this works. Make sure that your GIFs are not super high res. I don't think I emphasized that enough. The GIF really should be a lower res thing. That may have been why they were taking a long time to load in previously. But yeah, this light, the HMI here looks great, right? Not HDMI. You call the name for these lights, this is an HMI. Fresnel lens. Yeah, this is great. If you wanted to take this to the next level, right? How could we make these Polaroids look even more like Polaroids?
I'd say there's like always a dark kind of faded outline and a circle kind of around it.
Okay, yeah, for processing the image. What if I wanted to make it look a lot like a Polaroid picture?
Add shine. Have like a reflection of like the Polaroid paper.
Right, so Aaron is putting these layouts together for his portfolios here in Illustrator. And so that's not going to really happen in Illustrator, right? Illustrator is just a vector program. How would you make a Polaroid in Blender?
Oh, use the surface.
The material. Yeah, yeah. Take the image that you have here, throw it on a material, put the material on a plane, give the plane a little bit of curve, right? And then you can give it that shininess. You could give it fingerprints, right? You could throw a whole bunch of them on a table, like they were scattered there, right? Like that's a longer project there, Aaron, but that would be really, really interesting. And you know, it would really take this presentation to the next level. Same thing here with this piece of paper, right? You have the type, it's kind of at an angle here, but you could do it in 3D to make it look like a real piece of paper. So I think this design works, and having the blurred background over the type, this works. Yeah, the only design I think was really problematic was the one that we talked about this morning with the playground. This one I think works for the most part. The only thing with the Polaroids is the Polaroids are so iconically 4:3 aspect ratio, right? Not 16:9. And so some of your screen grabs here are 16:9. So they look like really wide Polaroids, which just looks a little strange. So that might be a thing. But here, yeah, great. We can see this, and we can look at the wireframe. Great. Yep, this is all looking really good. And we got a longer gameplay video here. Oh, this is sort of fly through of the whole scene. Yeah, this is really a legitimately spooky thing. I think, this is a neat idea, I think you could take further. And if you got way weirder with it, right? What if some of these trailers, you walked into them and there's just some really strange things in the trailer, right? You really start to develop more of a foreboding sense of strangeness there in what you're doing. But yeah, really excellent job documenting what you've done. Really great. And let's see, that was Aaron's. All right, we got Isabella and Cooper. Oh, that was. Here's Isabella.
Okay, this is one of my final portfolios. First, I'm starting off with the rolling ball game that I titled Rolling with Fire. Here I had a display of the title screen.
Great, a lot of movement on your tile screen, right? Like the lava happening there. Well done.
Just a short video. Just started title screen menu. I introduced it as an assignment in my animation interactivity class. We were assigned to make a rolling ball parkour game in Unity, and that we tested a variety of different programs.
Isabella made up for everyone else not capitalizing Unity by capitalizing every letter in Unity. Unity! Yeah, I think we just need the U capitalized, that's all.
Just Blender, Unity, Adobe Substance 3D Modeler, Painter, and also using the Substance community online. I also included my game idea, which was in Rolling with Fire, you, the player, has to traverse this rocky terrain surrounded by lava to get to the ending platform. Avoid the lava and collect coins as you navigate the level to unlock obstacles to get to the end. And overall, I just added my level design, add some of my inspiration here for the last level right here from Squid Game, because that's how I originally thought of it. Also in a different way because it's not glass.
Part of this was inspired by Squid Game?
So I added images, a side view kind of slanted, and a top-down view. I also added a more dynamic way. And I also included the flowing lava shader map on how I created my lava. I also included a video with the lava being animated right here and it showing all the details.
That's great.
And then I also included my geyser and volcano particle systems. I will say that I will most likely edit throughout the summer to refine it more.
Yeah, I feel like the particles coming out of the volcano could be smaller. That would help sell the volcano as like a giant thing. Having the particles be big just makes the volcano look small.
And I added my fire flower asset that I made. I'm not sure why it is appearing this way.
Yeah, that's
how I
weird.
added it in Sketchfab.
Something with the transparency channel there. You might be able to turn that off in the Sketchfab settings.
I just put it in these ways in the 3D Modeler, Substance Painter, and then what I did with it in my layers, and then the final result I ended up with. I also include my fire pedestal, and I also included my fire particle animation.
Yeah, that looks nice.
I explained some of it. And I also included my starting platform that I had for my level. Such as this. And I also included the different parts of it in Blender. And then I added a final look at what I added for final results of all the assets in the game. And I added final gameplay, which is about almost 4 minutes long,
Oh, wow. Okay.
of me playing through it. And then the game link. And that was all for my Unity game. And then now for my Unreal game. I added a screenshot of the outside of the game. I also added the same introduction that I had in the first one. I overall had the same layout. Game idea, level design. I added a sketch of the first floor, second floor, and third floor of the mazes. And I also added from the Unreal editor the screenshots of each level and how they looked. Also included my rain particle system that I made. I included a video here of it in action in the game and showing it in action here in the rain particle, how I made it.
Excellent.
And
That's
I
really
explained
nice.
it here.
Again, doing a great job with the
And then I
documentation.
also added my note collection manager
Some of the text,
and displayed that
the fact that this doesn't go the whole way
made
across there is a
4
little strange, but
different variety messages that appeared. And then just the overall animation of it spinning and being collected.
mm-hmm.
And then the item message being displayed. Then I also added the node map. And then I finally add all my game objects here, which I had a lot as I made more game objects than I did in the first one.
Yeah, that door
And
looks great.
it just overall shows
I don't think I got to appreciate that
assets,
door. A lot of-
substance painter,
A lot of blood on that door.
the animation of the door in action, and then the final node map that created the door. Then with the factory, I also added subcategories to it for this. I included to lighting and then clutter objects. Just down here.
Wow, this is a
And
lot of
overall,
documentation. This is great.
Added the same things for the lighting, the objects, them in Blender, Substance Painter, a video of them flickering, and then the material map, and then the same thing for
Oh, okay. Rust.
the floor lamp.
Maybe
Also
you need to turn down the saturation a
and
little
the
bit then,
notepad.
if we don't want it to read as
And then
redder there.
all of this is essentially
I mean, it
the
looks
same
great.
for the factory rack and the palette I made too. As I displayed it here. As I just decided to only add the factory rack as I ran out of items that I could add to Sketchfab. That's okay, because I can just display them right there.
So you should be able to
And
fix the
the-
UVs on that box just by fixing
An image
the
of
mesh
what the
and then replacing the mesh in the game. Should
model
update
ended up
all of
looking
them.
like. And I did the same for the palette, and then I also did the same I did in the Udemy game, and added some screenshots from the game, and then my final gameplay, and then my game week. And that was pretty much overall for my portfolios.
Great.
And I think that overall, I altogether learned how to make make games. That's one. Also, I had no prior experience to 3D modeling.
Wow, well, you did
So
great.
those are two major things that I learned this semester. And I'll probably use this when applying for jobs through showing work that I've done and showcasing it and showcasing my experience, what I can do now, and just display my overall that I can do this. And many of these factors, such as making emissive materials, I can make game objects, and all the like. And I think personally, I've always had thoughts of making a game myself, so with this experience, I can finally, in a way, go do that. And it was really fun experience making all of this. And also think with this experience, I'll have a lot more fun making 3D materials too, because I always wanted to have a chance to make some. And specifically what I'll work on this summer is overall, I just want to overall refine my portfolios a bit further, add a little bit more information than what I have now, and to also maybe go back into the games and also add more stuff, possibly learning more on how to do the with the nodes, because I wanted to do a lot more aspects like collecting the collection manager and collecting the papers so it unlocks the doors, or at least
Yeah.
a minimum amount
Yep, yeah.
to unlock the doors, and also to have a grabbable flashlight, because that's also one thing I want to learn how to do. And overall, just learn learn my way through all of the programs as well again, and also learn how to 3D model and gain some more experience. As this was my first time, and I think I did a pretty decent job on both games, especially the last one. I think I definitely improved, which I'm pretty much thankful for that. And it was overall a lot of fun. Thank you.
Super.
Okay, this is one of my
I'm really happy to
final
hear it.
portfolios. First, I'm
If you
sorry.
want to do more 3D modeling, I'm doing the 185 class. Yes, all sorts of golf claps here in the room for you. I'm doing the 185 3D modeling class in the fall. So if anybody wants to get into any of everybody within the sound of my voice who's made it to the end of the semester, if anybody would like to get into one of my classes in the future, just send me an email and I can override you in, even if it's full. Okay? Because not everyone always makes it to the end of my classes, as you can tell, right? There's always fewer people here at the end than there are at the beginning.
Oh, we know.
Yep. Yeah, pour one out for those that we've lost along the way.
Why waste good liquor?
But yeah, if you want to, if anybody's interested in delving into the 3D modeling more at the, for the fall semester, that's AVC 185. For those of you who have taken 185, AVC 285 is being offered in the fall. No, 285 is 3D modeling 2.
Oh, I get the numbers mixed up.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, so do I.
Well, that's why you were going, it's the animation class I haven't taken that I'm supposed to be taking.
Yes, exactly. Did you already register?
Yeah, I registered for fall.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, great. Well, Isabel, if you want to take it with me, just let me know and I can make sure that you get in if you're not already in. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the roster recently, who's in it and who's not for the fall. But yeah, wow. Great work. And really good job documenting everything there. There's something strange with the type only going halfway across the screen. I think you'd wanted to go the whole way across there. Yeah. You got a real sense of foreboding in that Unreal game, for sure. That was great. Let's see, that was Isabella. We had Cooper. Wait, I thought I right-clicked these. If I do this, there we go. Here's Cooper.
Alright, here is my game, Rolling Rampage. This was the Rolling Ball project that we started at the beginning of the semester. This picture here is my title page. It's simple, yet effective for the game to start. Here is my game description, and that is Rolling Rampage is a high-speed, high-energy arcade experience that throws you straight into the action. The game has vibrant colors which burst to life, and you're meant to dash, bounce, and bash your way through the wild, over-the-top obstacle course. The player sees different challenges as they move forward in the game. To finish the game, you have to collect all the dice scattered across the course and make it to the finish line. These are my process sketches. This first one is the initial design for the level. This went through multiple changes throughout the life of the game as we kept expanding and adding on to it.
Yep. And remember, the showing the process images is just showing your work, right? It doesn't, people are not expecting the process pre-visualization sketch to match the end product. That's not what you're trying to show off. You're like, hey, look at this plan I had, and I perfectly executed the plan, end of story. Nothing ever works like that. You start off with a plan and you adjust things as things go.
This is spread out as the mesh. And these are just the explanations to all of these. And then here are my assets. So this is the dice model. It was created using just a normal cube and was turned into a bunch of faces and beveled on the edges. And then I used the inflate deflate tool in the sculpting process part of Blender to get the dots, and then I selected each individual face and painted them accordingly using my substance painter. This next part is the first area of the game. I chose the Taurus because it's, believe it or not, it's hard to bounce the ball on the Taurus. I thought it would give a good challenge at the beginning of the game. I chose yellow as most of my colors are neon-esque to an extent.
Neon-esque. Even Cooper sort of looked aside and he's like, neon-esque? Is that a word?
Most of the colors are super vibrant, and I felt like yellow would fit with that. This is my tree model that I was talking about and went through a lot of prototype phases and a lot of changes over the time. It's got a total of, I think it was like 36 faces on it. And I feel like it works well as a boundary for the game. It's used at the beginning and the end to create like a start and a finish for the game. Oh, let me go back. I'm sorry. It also gives a looped feel towards the start and the end, maybe to add more levels and more interesting areas that the ball can go. Here's a short clip of the actual map. It's a little blurry. I'm sorry about that. But there is there's the tree design, and then there's the Taurus. And then I have another tree design that I was working on. Not as big as a fan of that one, but it made it into the final cut. There's a stump and a rock, and this is the highest point of the map, as it shows what most of the game is about. The GIF on the left is the jumping animation for the game. It also shows this chess piece, which goes back and forth to knock the player off. The jump is the key part of beating the game, as there's not, you have to jump from island to island in that back area. There's no way to get it without doing that. And then the GIF on the right is one of my particle effects that I use. It's a fog effect that covers the start of the game. So you spawn in, you can't really see the stuff in front of you. I feel like it gives a unique texture or unique feel to the environment, as you don't really know what's in front of you. This is the playthrough of my game. It's kind of long because I'm not great at computer games. And then this is the game download. I've learned this semester that I've learned a lot about Unity. I've never used it before, and it was quite the learning curve to figure out how to do it. There is a lot of coding that goes into Unity compared to other animation-esque softwares. I also learned that there's a lot of parts and pieces that move at the same time, and if you mess one up, your chances are you're messing up another. And then I plan on using this when I'm applying for jobs to show off my game making capability and using colors to my advantage. And then I plan on working on this over the summer, adding some more levels, maybe randomizing the levels a little bit. I feel as if the one level isn't enough for this game. I'd like to keep using Unity in the future too, as I feel as it can be a tool that could help me become successful at one point. And then here is my this is my okay.
House of Echoes.
This is my
I like that.
Unreal project. I named my project House of Echoes as I felt as if it fit with the game. For this, I do want to expand and make a title page where you hit play and then it gives you the instructions, as I feel like it would kind of wrap up the game more than anything. That's the description of the game, and then here are my process images. This is the layout of the level. I think that in the future I could add more stories to the actual house itself, as right now it's only 1.5 stories. And I could use that to my advantage to create more of a looping and familiar but not at the same time feel. And then this is my in the middle is my chair asset that I spent a lot of time working on. It was modeled in Blender using the list of tools. The final form came out as it has white legs and then black cushions on it. And then this is the last image is it's the island in the kitchen and the countertops, and then the slots are where the appliances would go. For the counters, I use a marble countertop that I created in Substance Painter, and the bottom is a wood, like a false wood, to resemble cabinets that are underneath. And then here's my door asset. Sorry, I got a little lost. There's no handles. I couldn't figure out how to get the handles. I didn't really use this door asset all that much. I used it twice out of the whole thing. For the most part, most of my doors are walls that open up and you can walk through. And then this is my kitchen table asset that I created. In the game, it has a wood top and a metal base. Originally, I was planning to go up for glass, but it didn't look right, so I moved to wood, as I felt as if it fit better. And I think there's a total of 5 chairs around it, as I felt it would look weird with a 6th chair.
Yeah.
And then this is my actual chair model, based off the sketches that I created.
Yeah, okay, really great job with that.
It took me a while to nail this and get it down. So the actual legs of the chair in the game are white, and then the cushion here and the cushion here are black. And I use this a total of 7 or 8 times in the game. And then this is my first GIF of the central space in the House of Echoes. There's that chair model. There's another table model, and then there's that kitchen area. There's more of the chair models in the kitchen table. And then this second GIF is my door, which is, it's a wall that opens more than anything to create more of a hidden passage feel, as if some players might not notice it right off the bat. And then my last one is the player picking up the key, which is in the kitchen, in between where the appliances would go. It also showcases the light that I used, as I felt the level needed a little bit of light, but not a whole lot of light. Yeah, and then these are the descriptions for it. This is my gameplay video, which has the noise and all of that. There's the door opening. I chose not to put a sound on the door opening, as I felt it would take away from the feel of the game. Sometimes we play games and we accidentally run up to a door that moves and we don't really realize it. I was going for that feel, and I feel like it worked
so
out
take
pretty
everyone
well.
by surprise.
There's a window that goes outside. If we keep going, there's the kitchen, and the goal of the game, as the bottom of the video says, is find 3 keys in the exit. Not everything is as it seems, so there's stuff that moves over time. It's animated to where the chair will screech across the floor, and yeah, and this is my game download. In the future, I want to keep using Unreal, as at first it was a learning curve challenge and I didn't really understand it, but as time went on I got the basics of it. It's completely different from anything I've used before.
Yeah, it kind of
has
does have its own
some
thing going
similar
on.
techniques to Blender, but it doesn't really have anything else that I'm used to.
Yeah, so a different purpose than Blender. Blender's going to be creating a 3D asset. Unreal is like constructing an interactive
I plan on using this for when I apply for jobs. I want to expand on it for the more and more. It has like a little basement area, but other than that, it's one story for the most part. I want to add more and more layers to allow the player to experience, and I want to make some of the rooms a little bit different, about the same but a little different, to really throw the player into a loop on if they've been there before or if they haven't. Similar to a maze, but not as mazy. And
yeah, creating some disorientation.
I want to keep working in this over the summer. It has a lot of potential. I had a lot of fun with Unreal, as it took a couple of the assignments for me to figure out how I actually wanted to complete my project, but it didn't turn out 100% how I wanted due to some of the curves of learning with Unreal, and I watched maybe close to 10 hours of other people's YouTube videos to figure out how to do some of this stuff. I do like the simplicity of it and how it builds out compared to Unity. I feel as if Unreal looks a lot cleaner than Unity, and everyone kind of knows those Unity games is like not the greatest game on the App Store of all time or anything like that. But overall, I feel like I learned a lot this semester, and I'm excited for the summer to keep messing with these games.
Cool. Great. Yeah, you did a good job documenting everything there, Cooper. And yeah, I think that's going to be a good goal to have over the summer there. I think just more it could still feel sparse, but I think there needs to be a little bit more world building for the Unreal game. It seems a bit too empty still there. Let's see, did I get gauges downloaded? I think so.
Here's my Unity game. I started with the summary. Mostly in the summary I talked about the blockout process of creating the game initially and then going into Blender to make models that are reusable. And here are my 3D models. They're all working here.
Great.
Here I talked about kind of the background process of mostly...
I mean, sending those from Sketchfab is going to be perhaps a better approach there. That way we'll be able to see the materials on them.
Modeling. At first I talked about the process of using 3D or Substance Modeler to model some more organic shapes with these dents and making diverse props around the map. I also explain again about the blockout process and how I made sure first that the game was playable and enjoyable, and then went through with adding more to the atmosphere of the game and adding more levels. I also talked about how I made the key in Blender, which was the collectible. Here I talked about the particle effects and how those were created, and then I talked about the animation and actually making an animation in the game. And I talked about making an animation that was interactable, like these moving platforms where I had to use code to actually keep the ball on the platform. And I have the gameplay here, which is just over a minute long. Show you through that I do have it. And then the link. And then here I have my Unreal game.
So the games, I think, need better thumbnails there, right? Try and find a more dynamic image to use as a thumbnail for both.
Again, started with the summary. I kind of described how I wanted to get this was more for an atmosphere. I definitely wanted an atmosphere to this game. The models, again, here they are and working. And then I went through the breakdown of the modeling process, the pipeline of basically taking something to Blender, to Substance Painter, and then bringing it back into what you want. And I also talked about making your own materials with Substance Sampler. And I talked about the coding that goes into making this torch flicker with the noise, the background of how the door functions,
Yep, this is some pretty good documentation. It seems like the GIFs are a bunch of different sizes. So
and I
the
explained
smaller
some
ones,
issues we went through, like the
yeah,
clutter
putting
not
them
being
side by
big
side
enough.
up here.
And then I included gameplay at the end here. This semester, I learned a lot about how to not only what goes into making a game, but also making interactions happen within the game. I learned a lot about modeling and making models that were reusable. In my own personal practice and career experience, I definitely learned a lot about keeping your models low in poly count. And I definitely want to continue work in animation and interactivity. I'm not sure how much I enjoyed actually building out the games themselves, but I did like animating objects within the game and making models for it.
Cool. Very nice, Gage. All right, I think that's everybody. Is it? Eduardo has the, let's see here. Let's see, he has the video of this. Of which one here? Oh, this is the Unreal game. Okay, and we have a video up there, and then a few shots of the game, and then we've got this game depicts the entire creative pipeline. I mean, that's just kind of like the blueprint right there. Okay. Yeah, this is a starting point for this documentation. Going ahead and explaining this a little bit more would be a good idea. I'm not sure if we got one for the Unity game here. I don't see it. Whoa, what a semester, right? 2 video games. Hooray! Yeah. Yeah, I had a great time. This is a fun class. Sometimes we don't always get through both things, but we did this semester. Unreal game and Unity game. I feel like everybody certainly came a long way from the beginning, especially for not having as much experience. Only some of you came in with some 3D modeling experience. Yep. And everybody really, by the end, was coming up with some really interesting things and getting the feel for it. And yeah, you're game designers now. You're game developers, right? You've made 2 games. There's so many people out there who talk about making games a lot, but never actually do. And you guys have gone through the process twice, right? You're grizzled veterans here.
I would now like to apologize to the creators of Grand Theft Auto. I understand.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah.
GTA 6.
Yep. I heard it got delayed. What, next year, right?
Yeah, by next year.
Yeah, we'll see.
Next year.
Okay,
And then
Mr.
the
Krabs,
next year.
calm down.
Next year.
Yeah, it was a good semester. I thought everybody learned a lot. I was really happy with some of these, and then I'll be reaching out to some of you. I'm going to keep the Discord open over the summer. I'll put up a summer channel to check in every once in a while for people who want to talk. I'll be doing stuff, maybe posting some stuff there. And if you all want to join me, you are more than welcome. And if you want to take any of the classes in the future that I'm teaching, please reach out, let me know, and I can override you into the class. I hope everybody had a great time, and I will see a lot of you in the fall. Take care, everybody.